All right, so tonight, whatever, I'm gonna give you takeaways from Notre Dame versus Georgia, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folks? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. I am in a hotel room in Duluth, Georgia, because I just got back from watching Georgia pull out a come-from-behind victory against Notre Dame. It was the only top 10 matchup on this bloodbath of a slate. My goodness, like I get to the hotel at 3 a.m. in the morning local time, which means I've been up for all of 23 hours, so I'm a little bit bugging out. So this could go off the rails, but we'll just see. But hey man, you know what else went off the rails? UCLA versus Washington State. Oh my God, 130 points? 67, 63, what are you doing? What the hell was that? LSU Vandy, what the hell was that? And then we got these upsets, man, starting with USC and Utah, and we'll get into it. A&M, Auburn went off the wire, and freaking San Jose State ended up getting a dub on Arkansas. What are you doing? Burn Arkansas to the ground. I don't even know what's going on. But you know what? I get to Sanford Stadium, and it was awesome, and I got all this useless B-roll for you that you're just going to have to sit through right now.
All right, who's gonna have the most rushing yards?
Georgia.
Well, which player?
Deandre Swift.
Okay.
He's gonna go for like 120.
What's your score prediction?
Score prediction: 82-0 Irish. 34-31 Irish.
What do you think about Kyle Hamilton?
Kyle Hamilton, I think he's awesome.
Where's he from?
Georgia. We played against him in high school. Just happy, man, and just all our hard work and the things that we did in the offseason, all the things we've been through in the offseason. You know, we've been a tight group, and they're all paid off.
Okay, so at the end of that, J.R. Reed. J.R. Reed is a dude. J.R. Reed was one of a couple of dudes that I was at Sanford Stadium to watch Georgia and Notre Dame. Like, that was the reason I was there, all right? So Kyle Hamilton, coming out of Marist in Atlanta, true freshman at Notre Dame, had set the world on fire in preseason camp, getting like 6 interceptions inside of camp and scrimmages. All is 6'4". He's wiry. He's their third safety, right? He played a lot against this really good Georgia team, got a lot of valuable experience. Expect him to be a dude later on in his career. But a dude who is a dude right now in the defense backfield is J.R. Reed. And I got to talk to J.R. Reed a little bit more after the game. He had an outstanding pick. Late, he was one of the bigger pieces of this game in that it looked like, yo, you're using him as a center fielder, and I understand that, but Cole Kmet was destroying Georgia. Like, that was it, right? So if you got more out of Cole Kmet than you got all year against what is one of the best defenses in all of college football, be on the lookout. Cole Kmet, this was his coming out party as much as it was anybody else's. But J.R. Reed, he was the second dude to take advantage of Fink. Fink gave up, I guess, the interception, fumble, however it goes down into the scorebook, to Devon Wilson, and that was interesting because, like, he didn't even know he had the ball, and then he had the ball, fumbles out of bounds, doesn't matter, it's Georgia's ball. So that's turnover, right? And then you get dudes rocking the turnover shoulder pads with Savage across it. I kind of dig that. And then, of course, J.R. Reed with this sick, nasty interception on the sideline, sliding out of bounds. He is an enormous safety. But his story is interesting. My man came out of Prestonwood Christian, the same Prestonwood Christian that Austin Starner came out of. And what happens? he ends up going to SMU, or wanting to go to SMU, and then there's a coaching change. June Jones is out, Chad Morris is in. Chad Morris does not want to honor J.R. Reed's gray shirt, and he tells his dad, former NFL player Jake Reed, you know what, I think I'm going to transfer to Tulsa, play for Philip Montgomery. Cool. Plays the 2015 season out at Tulsa, and you're going, wow, this is going well. 15 game appearances. He had some pass breakups. He had some tackles, and he called up his dad and said, you know what? I want out of Tulsa. I don't want to be in Tulsa anymore. And then I would reach out to some folks at Tulsa, and I'd be like, what the hell's going on with this? They're like, we don't know. It's a mystery. Dude just up and said he wanted to leave. And then in the leaving, he decided he was going to go wherever he could go, and he picked Georgia? So he shows up to Georgia, and Kirby Smart's like, I don't even know what we have here, but I guess. And dude says he played wide receiver, but we don't have that much depth at safety. Do you want to play safety? Because you might have an opportunity to actually start at safety. He says, cool, I'll play safety. Because, well, when I asked him, it's like, look, I believed in myself. I wanted to go play for a national championship. Didn't think that was necessarily going to be the deal at Tulsa. I don't blame him because, Tulsa's not going to play for a national championship. That's not what Tulsa is. That's not who Tulsa is. But he didn't pick, he didn't pick Washington. He didn't pick USC. He didn't pick Clemson. He didn't pick Alabama. He didn't pick LSU. He picked Georgia. Shows up to Georgia. He has graduated. He already has his degree. He's an outstanding interview. He stood for 20 minutes on a box getting berated with questions following the game about how did you see the pick and what does this mean for your defense and how does it feel to hold Notre Dame to, my God, 14 rush attempts, 46 yards. Now, they threw the ball. What did you throw the ball for, Ian? Ian threw this ball all over the yard, man. 47 times. 29 of 47 for 275. Also, Ian Book deserved a better scheme. He deserved a better game plan because as much as Georgia won this game at Sanford, Notre Dame lost this game. One, with poor game planning because Ian Book was not out on the edge trying to make stuff happen with his feet until it was too late. And two, you really didn't get beat by the guys on the field so much as you got beat by 92,000 people inside Sanford Stadium. And that was awesome. Like, I got my picture between the hedges, and that was awesome. I got to dap up I got to dap up Rich Homie Quan. I wanted to dap up Quavo. That's a story that I could tell. Well, I wanted to dap up Quavo. I saw Rich Homie Quan. Rich Homie Quan said, what's good? And I dapped him up, and we snapped it out. And then it was like, yo, I'm on flex now. But I saw Ric Flair, didn't get the picture with Ric Flair. Now I'm taking this about me. It's not about me. What it is about is Notre Dame and Georgia and the crowd. My goodness, man. It's not just the place was rocking and it was loud. It's the way they put on a show. I had never been to an event like that event. No football feeling for me has ever been what that is. And you could say that it's because it's under the lights and they don't really do a lot of under the lights at Georgia. You could say it's because it's a top 10 matchup. You could say because it's a deep South team versus Notre Dame, which everybody's got static for Notre Dame, except Notre Dame fans. You could say it's because the lead up to this, man, it was awesome going down the dog walk and watching Champ Bailey call the dogs in his Hall of Fame jersey, right? Seeing Amari for Power coming out there. You saw Terry Godwin came back, Isaac Nada came back, but man, we had people coming out the wazoo. Like, they were not lying. 92,000 people in the stadium, must have been 90,000 people outside because it took all of 3 hours to get 40 miles, right? And we're sitting in the parking garage for an hour just trying to get out, and people's just rolling through like they're probably still up there. They're probably still partying after this win. And it was a well-earned win, right? What we learned is that Georgia could play mediocre and still beat you by 6. We also learned that Notre Dame is probably tougher than 9 of the teams in the SEC. Just happens to be the other 3, Georgia, LSU, and Alabama, and that's no sin, right? And I think they're going to just mollywop and skull drag Michigan when they see them because we saw Wisconsin and Michigan ain't very good, but that's another video entirely. There were a couple of things that I had circled in the stats because, again, I'm frazzled and this is going how this is going. But, my God, the penalties for Notre Dame. They had 12 penalties for 85 yards. And I think they had like 6 of those were false starts. They couldn't hear a thing They were getting on their own nerves. They were getting laundry when there was no need to get laundry. They were stopping play. Like, the dreaded, they're going fast, so I'm going to fake an injury, might have happened, okay? Notre Dame might have done that because dudes were on the ground and not seeming to necessarily be hurt. They looked gassed. They looked out of shape because it wasn't that hot because I was outside. That was a really cool part about this is I got these club level seats that were like right in line with media row, but it's open air seating. So it was like this little box, like that's actually like the size of the hotel room. And we was just looking straight out and was on the 45 and it was an outstanding view and it was awesome. Like this was really awesome stuff. I mean, I'm taking all these notes about these defensive backs and I have all these questions that I want to ask J.R. Reed and whatnot. But Deandre Swift was a man out there. Look, 18 carries, 98 yards. He also added three catches for 2 yards. But what was interesting to watch about Deandre Swift was that they couldn't get him to the ground. Like, he would run through them. And that's not something that I had seen a whole lot of Deandre Swift. Now, I know the Georgia fans are watching. It's like, yo, man, Deandre Swift's one of the most physical running backs in college football and yada, yada, yada. I get it. It's your dude, right? But I'm here now, and I'm watching it with my own eyes against what I think is a good Notre Dame defense. I thought this Notre Dame defense was going to get blown off the ball. I thought they was going to get destroyed off the ball. That wasn't what happened. And that's another reason why I got a bone to pick with Brian Kelly. You got an outstanding defensive performance from your Notre Dame group that you squandered. I mean, you got on the board first, and it wasn't until like the second quarter until Georgia was able to get on the board. And even then, it was a 10-7 game until it wasn't a 10-7 game, right? I mean, it kind of got out of hand for you in the second half. I don't even really think that you got tired. I just think that you made some mistakes because, my goodness, with the snap that Ian Book didn't see, and that almost turned into something, with the muff punt that Chase Claypool ended up picking up, that turned into something. You had opportunities to go and win this game. And I'm sitting, with some dudes that are casually kind of sort of rooting for Notre Dame, and they're getting pissy and mean about it because they know, yeah, Georgia's probably the better football team, but Notre Dame could have won this game if it had just played cleanly. I mean, the 12 penalties to their 6. I mean, there's the game right there. You're 4-13 off third down conversions. They were 4 of 11. You were 1 of 3. They didn't go for it on third downs. Everybody scored when they got into the red zone. You really just beat yourself with penalties. And that's got to really piss you off. I mean, 18 first downs for Georgia, 14 first downs for Notre Dame. It's really not that big a difference. And the total yards were way down. 339 for Georgia, 321 for Notre Dame. And they ran about the same offense play, 61-59. I mean, this was a straight up, grind them out, really intense, awesome football game. Jake Fromm is going to make a lot of money in the NFL because I watched that man throw these wide receivers open. I watched him make what they call NFL throws from the opposite hash on an out route. It's deep out. He would hit dudes. Like, he had all the moxie in the world. He knew where the ball was supposed to be. He got it out of his hands. All of these things that we've been saying about him, like, I don't know, and him flipping the ball, and while he's in the pocket, it goes out the window. Jake Fromm is an NFL quarterback, and he's probably going to be a pretty outstanding NFL quarterback that plays for a long time. I learned that. I'm not so sure about Ian Book. I think he still has some things that he needs to develop and get better at. Jay Crowder, absolute monster in the middle, right? We knew that, but that feels good on my tongue. I like watching him play at linebacker. Rodrigo Blankenship is cheat code. That dude's just going to be automatic for you anytime you need a field goal. That was awesome. Tony Jones, 9 carries, 22 yards. I expect to see more out of that dude. I didn't see a whole lot more out of him. I know that Finke had a bad game, but my goodness. James Cook didn't really get to do a whole lot in this one, which, again, I found interesting. I mean, there was lots of other stuff that I found interesting, but you talk about the play-by-play, and I'm going, man, there really weren't a lot of series in this. And even when it felt like Georgia was going to put this away when they're up 20-10, Notre Dame is able to close it to within 6, and it felt like maybe they were going to put something together, and at the end, they just couldn't do it. Sanford Stadium beat Notre Dame. That was my takeaway. Sanford Stadium, the people in the crowd, the atmosphere, the loudness, the production, that beat Notre Dame as much as the 11 dudes in front of them who are also very good. But Notre Dame isn't as bad as we think they are, which is my takeaway. Georgia, on the other hand, showed there's a blueprint there. You can beat them. And if they make a mistake, you have opportunities. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to try to get some sleep before I get in the plane. Deuces.